What's going on, everybody? So we're coming off of a massive day in the weed sector. MSOS up over 50%, MSOX up over 100%, Tilray, Canopy Growth, Green Thumb, True Leave, all the big names are up big time. And my personal portfolio up over $10,000, which is we love to see it. I'm excited, but I'm keeping my expectations moderated because if you've been following the weed sector for a while, you would know not to keep super high expectations because they're likely to get smashed to a billion pieces and spread all over the floor. Because we've seen this movie again and again where we get news and optimism and we get a violent reaction to the upside. But whenever we see a lack of follow through or a lack of new news catalysts, those gains start to slowly bleed away. Start to bleed away as you're watching chip stocks and Netflix and Nvidia run up 500%. You're stuck in the weed sector watching your gains melt away. But I do think that this news could be fundamentally different, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about that. So I've been investing and trading in the cannabis sector for almost a decade. I started back in 2016, my sophomore year of college, whenever I started getting interested, mostly in day trading at the time, but I was learning about markets and investing, and it happened to be a very good time because Prop 64 got signed into law in October, right whenever I was heating up and starting to do more studying, and that started one of those cycles of violent gains to the upside. And we see it again and again. We saw it with Prop 64. We saw it with the Constellation buyout back in 2017 or 2018, whenever Constellation bought out CGC and the whole sector ran hundreds of percent over those couple months, couple years. We saw it with the GameStop and AMC mania during COVID back in 2021. And we see it again and again. It's a pattern. You have to recognize these patterns over time. Violence to the upside, but lack of news, violence to the downside, or more likely a slow bleed. So I figured, well, I'm trading these stocks. I was trading them for probably the first 5 years while I was doing my undergrad, and I'm losing money because I'm going up against these algos, and I'm going against these guys who are sitting at the table or sitting at their desk all day doing research, going hard. I'm going up against killers, and I'm trying to do it as a part-time thing, so I'm losing money. But I figure, well, I'm seeing these violent cycles to the upside. Why don't I just dollar cost average and wait until one of these cycles hits and then sell towards the top, or maybe not even towards the top because it's very hard to know when the top is, but just sell whenever I have a comfortable amount of money, something that I dictate, like this is the number that I want, and then I'll sell some and maybe keep some horses in the race if the run keeps going. But like let me cash out on these cycles that I know happen again and again and again. So this Friday, December 12th, we got some news, and let's dig into what exactly that news is. It's Sunday morning right now, but on Friday, we got some news that Trump's expected to deschedule or sign an executive order to reclassify and deschedule marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, which does a couple things. It opens up banking for all the current multi-state operators, the current MSOs, so they can get access to banks. They can deduct their expenses, which they can't do right now. So it's hard to be profitable whenever you can't deduct the same expenses that the other businesses can deduct. And it also opens up doors to research. So universities can do research and get grant funding from the government to study marijuana. And this kind of snowballs into the greater effect of probably elite or eventual legalization of marijuana, which again, we don't know what the timeline is going to be on this. And with this specific news, we don't know if it's going to actually happen because you can see as soon as Monday. So in investor CNBC talk, that means maybe Monday, maybe next week, maybe next month, maybe never. And you guys who've been following the weed sector for a while, just like we get news like this, there's going to be a hearing for the deschedulization of marijuana. There's going to be a hearing for this, a hearing for that. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. And then nothing happens. And then it bleeds away and you see your gains. bleed away. But this can be fundamentally different because if he does sign this, then we have a clear pathway towards deschedulization, a clear pathway for these marijuana businesses to start earning more, getting access to banking. We have uplisting, potential uplisting. So these stocks aren't going to be over the counter. They're not going to be OTCs anymore. They'll be on the bigger exchanges, get access to more funding, more capital. And you see this snowballing effect. And that's even before full-scale legalization, whenever we start to see the big players start to develop. You know, we see the Modelo or the Budweisers of marijuana start to conglomerate and form. But this is just a shorter term catalyst. We're going to have to see how it plays out. I'm not going to touch my portfolio. I'll go more into my exact thesis and my game plan and my exit plan in another video, not in this one. This is more about this news and what's going on right now. But you guys should all have some kind of game plan. If you're a day trader, then day trade and have your rules, whether it's based on technical analysis or fundamentals. However you trade, have a game plan and stick with it. I am long-term. I have a long-term outlook on marijuana, mostly based on legislation and eventual legalization. So I'm going to have these stocks for forever. I'll like take some off the top whenever we get into one of these cycles, but I'm going to hold on to some probably until I die. Maybe not that long, but I'm going to hold on to a lot of that to build up my net worth. So again, I just want to like visualize some of these cycles. We're not going to spend a whole bunch of time on this or do a technical analysis seminar, but you can see back in 2016, we have the prop 64 in October, had that big run, and then a bleed. And then we get some more momentum going into 2017, 2018. We get the legalization, but the buyout, Constellation buyout back in 2018. Big pop, bleed out. And we're holding on, but then we get a big bleed out. All the way up until 2021 with the GameStop madness. We got a big run and then a huge bleed out over the past 5 years. And this is when I started dollar cost averaging because I traded the GameStop thing. I think I lost probably. Like I know there was a time where I had a 5K gain and then I'm pretty sure I lost all of it. And that's when I decided, you know what? This trading thing is not going to be for me right now because I'm like spread out. I'm trying to do too many things and compete against killers. So why don't I just dollar cost average and play the sector more long term? And that's what I'm going to stick with. So that's going to be it for now. I'll update whenever we get news. Then I will keep you guys updated. I'm not going to, this is not like a weed stock channel. It's like, oh, weed stock news of today. I just kind of want to go through my thought process. It's going to be a long-term play. So whatever happens in the short term really doesn't affect me that much. But this is substantial news. If Schedule 3 gets signed, then we might be off to the races, at least for these next couple months. And hopefully we get some more momentum and can change the long-term trend. That's what I hope to see. So if you have anything to say, any opinions, any questions, go ahead and drop them down in the comment box below, and I'll get back with you guys next time.